Are yours on your AirPods?
Huh?
Are yours on your AirPods?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Are we
but
good
it's
now?
Maybe
very echoing.
maybe we
Maybe
should
we
take
should
it
take it
out.
out.
Hello, hello.
I'll go inside.
We're
Okay.
having a little technical difficulties. One moment, please. Welcome, welcome. Is he getting ready?
Yeah, no, he's just moving to a different spot. I guess like the echo because me and him are close. So
Oh,
I'm
I
guessing.
see.
And he's in my art room, of course.
I'm ready.
Okay, okay, good, good. So, first, I want to say thank you to my beautiful grandchildren for joining me tonight. I appreciate this. Um, and then today's topic is classroom learning versus virtual learning. And what a great thing we did have. I'm going to allow you to introduce yourselves right now. We are missing one who is a little camera shy, so he won't be joining us. And I wanted to talk about the different ages and in the different stages that you are in. But we'll talk about you because one's in school and one's virtual. So we'll start with you, Aniyah. Tell us your name.
I'm Aniyah Torres. Um, I mean,
How
what
old
else
are
do you want me to
you?
say? They
How
all
old
call me
are
my
you?
grandkid. I'm 18. I'm a senior. I am gonna graduate April, May next month. No, next month. I mean, I my graduation is in June, but my last days is in May.
Okay.
So
And
I
what
gra-
is your style of learning? What are you living right now? What's your style of schooling right
right
now?
now I'm doing e-learning, which is online. It's, it's all right.
Total
All right.
online learning?
Yes, no school whatsoever. Like no
No
brick and
classroom
mortar.
setting.
That's what we call it.
Okay.
Yeah.
No brick and mortar, just your bed. Okay. And you? You little one?
I am. Yeah, I am Argenis. I go to actual class, like classroom school. I am
Oh,
14. I'm in eighth grade.
in eighth grade. So you do go to actual school. Okay.
Yep.
So since Anaya's doing the e-learning, I wanted to start off with Anaya. How
hmm
is your choice of learning affecting you socially and emotionally?
Um. Well, the beginning of the year, I didn't really have a choice because obviously COVID and everything. So, but because I'm e-learning now, I just didn't want to transfer back. But with e-learning, now I don't have any friends literally from school except my boyfriend. But so, my I'm not very social with people now. Um, and academically, I do better when I'm like I'm a kinesthetic learner, which means I'm like everything on hands on, auditor, like all that stuff. So it's all
Your
right.
visual, audio, and say that word because I can never say it right. Liliqueta said it. Touchy
Kinesthetic.
feely, hands on. I
Yeah.
can
So
never get that correctly. And Argenis, you are in school. Um, are all your classmates in with you, or do you have some virtual learners as well? Is your classroom smaller than what it used to be before the virus?
No, nothing really changed besides just wearing a mask.
That's it. So you
Yeah.
have full classrooms.
Yes.
Oh wow.
I guess
Okay.
some bit lower down because it's like 15 to 20 people in the classroom. 15, 25, maybe.
Okay. So it's
that's how
not
many
as packed.
should be in a classroom. About
So he has a full classroom setting. Okay. So really, your social engagements have not changed, so you don't feel the difference. Was there any point since the pandemic that you were learning from home?
Yes. So, and like kind of like when it first started in the
Hmm.
beginning of eighth grade, and then the last bit of seventh grade, I did e-learning because of the COVID, the virus.
Okay.
So they made us stay home.
And so you chose to go back to a classroom setting.
Yes, because I am not very good with like without being hands on.
Yeah. So you need structure. You need
Yes.
to know that you got to be at school at this time. You go to homeroom, and then you change classes. So that's having structure. So in that part, I commend you. My hat off to you, because you know that you need boundaries set. You need things put into place for you to just flow a little better
Yeah.
than being home. So
Yeah.
that's good, because a lot of kids, they don't know where they're at, and that's where anxiety comes in, and lack of motivation. So I give you that. Um, so, like, virtual learning can be somewhat isolating, and we already described the emotional effects of that part. Um, so, Aniyah, what do you miss the most? Seeing your friends or group discussions? Are you more involved in the academic part? Would you like the group discussions and going over the work in class?
I liked it all. I miss school, but I'm right now only because of my senior year. I'm good with like e-learning because I only have like 4 classes. Whether if I was in school, I'd have 8.
Oh,
So I get out of school earlier than most. Um, but I mean, I miss it all. I miss walking in the halls. I miss, seeing the lockers. Oh my god,
I'm glad
So
you,
just little things.
I'm so happy you brought that up, because a lot of people dismiss the little things in life. Walking down the halls, seeing the lockers, hearing the banging of the lockers.
Yep,
Like,
hearing ignorant freshmen called like penis, like So I miss it all.
so our little Henny, I'm gonna call you little Henny, because that's what I know you from. Um, Being quarantined and doing the virtual to being in a classroom, what would you be able to tell someone who's confused about whether they want to go, whether they can and should go back to school, but then the comforts of being home? You offhand, Aniyah told us what she misses, but you did both, and then you decided, I have to be in a classroom setting. That's the best way I'm going to absorb the teachings of the day. Correct?
Yes. So, cause like whenever I was in e-learning, like I was always distracted, like with the house. Like I will always do that, but I'm supposed to be like in class or something.
Okay. So, with what's going on with the schools today, excuse the dogs barking in the background. With what's going on with the schools today, from what you know, um, do you feel that? Hold on one moment. Hold on one moment. Do you feel that it's disruptive to your growth? Did you feel?
Oh,
Do you feel that that it was disruptive to your growth, little Henny, when you were doing the virtual, and that's one of the main reasons it brought you back? See, Aniyah said she learns hands-on. She
Hmm.
needs to be in that type of setting. But do you feel that with what's going on with the choices of the schools today, that you staying home would have been disruptive to your learning and your growth?
Yes.
Can you elaborate a little bit more? This is a conversation.
Um. Yes, because wait, can you restate the question again?
The question was, with what's going on in the schools today, from the new normal that's happening, and you being having the virtual, and then you being in the class, did you feel at any point that you staying home learning would be disruptive to your learning and your growth?
Yes, because I feel like I wouldn't really understand what like they were teaching over a video instead of being in person.
And when you were doing the homeschooling to being in the class now, do you feel that the teachers were more invested in person than online, or were they the same across the board?
Um, it was different because um, like now in classrooms they wear a mask, so I can't really see their whole face. But on a call like this, I could see what they actually look like.
I didn't. You know what? I didn't factor that in. That they have to wear masks the whole 8 hours or
Yes,
however long you're in school.
yes,
Oh, so through virtual, you can actually see their full expression.
yes,
But do you feel, but the main question I wanted to ask is when you're doing virtual, everybody's sitting at home in their underwear with a nice shirt on, right?
yeah, most likely.
And, but do you feel that they gave 100% teaching online the way they do when they're in a classroom setting?
No, because I feel like if they would, I would at least understand a little bit more than what I would.
So you didn't feel like you captured everything they were teaching virtually?
No, I wasn't.
Oh, okay. Anaya, what's your take on that?
I agree because when now like my grades are they're good, but they're not like straight A's like I always used to get. So I obviously it's the teachers learning their way of learning through the Zoom and everything.
So I'm gonna take it just sitting in when you were doing your online, when you were doing it from my house. Um, Part of the engagement was there, but it was more monotone.
What do you mean?
From like the voice wasn't as excited as they would be in a classroom.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like usually on the first day of school or like the first week, first month, whatever, the teachers are like, you could see like their personality, like how they handle things, like their way of teaching, or like you just basically adjust to their classroom, their environment, their like whatever, just them. Like you like adjust to that. But e-learning, like even with the teachers that I've had since the beginning of the year, I don't know their personality. I don't know because all they do is go by the book and just teach for the remaining of the class. And like I don't know if they used to do this to like for you when you were in school, but like usually the first like few days or first week, like we would do like little like assignments to basically get to know the class. I don't know how, like the majority. I probably know student one student in each class right now. Right now, probably one student in each class. Usually I would know like the whole class, whatever. Like that's how I make my friends. But this year I have not made any new friends whatsoever. Actually, I did one in Spanish class, but other than that,
So do you think that would add to like lack of motivation?
of course, yeah, definitely. I have, yeah, my motivation has been slacking.
So it's
So,
stagnant.
see, if I were to be like going to school, I would wake up, every morning 6, around the same time I would, and drive to school like I would, I used to. So right now, yeah, motivation is down the hill.
And for you, Henny?
I'm pretty motivated to be like at school. Cause it's like kind of like a wake up reminder, like, oh, do this and then you'll be farther, kind of thing. So I kind of have to be on point with everything.
Uh-huh. So
So I
you
can,
like it.
yeah, yeah.
And you get to dress up and you get to go and you meet up with your friends and just a camaraderie of walking in the halls. So Anaya, what would you change? Let's say the virtual is going to last another year, even though you're finishing this year. But let's say Henny has to start doing virtual learning for some reason. What would you change about how they're doing things now, like with the meet and greet at the beginning of the virtual learning year, so
Yeah,
that you can
definitely that.
so that you
Yeah.
can feel a connection to your teacher other than the curriculum? Like, what would you like to implement as a change if virtual is going to be the new thing going forward?
See, that's hard because honestly, the only thing is really like hands on, and like you would see like their body movement. You know, like you would get their vibe, the teacher's vibe, and then usually if you're in like going to school, you'll feel comfortable going into that class. You know, whether on you know the Zoom, you never know what happens. You never know. So I don't know. There's really nothing to change because we can't. The only thing to change is whether it be in person or online. So
Little Henny, if you were in virtual and it was boring, what would you like to add or suggest that they do a bit differently so that you can feel comfortable? Because you live both. You've lived in class, then virtual, and again in class. Like,
I
what
wish
would
that
you suggest?
like I mean I don't like online like at all in general because I don't know, I just like really don't like it. So I would just like probably less down the school days but have online school the days to fill in.
Okay, okay. Because what do you like to? Who are you, little Henny? Explain a little bit to me who you are. What's your personality? What are your likes and dislikes? Who's your favorite grandmother?
Um
No, I'm only kidding. I'm only kidding.
um I'm kind of like a very I'm a very chill, like laid back. I don't really I like to go out but I don't really like to stay in the house too long, or I always get bored and just decide to leave the house and go like somewhere. And I'm like whenever I'm home, all I do I just like play the game, hang around with the dogs, parents, anybody. So I have freedom at the home, so I could like do whatever I want at the house. But um overall, like it's pretty like basic. It's a basic teenager. Just
You're just a regular, rounded teenager who chills in the swimming pool and goes and plays video games 50 hours in one day. I get it.
yes, very much true.
I
Very
get it.
much.
And what would you say is your swag? Like
Like
your in your personality, what's your swag? Are you really like laid back? Do you go with the flow? Do you need things to be a certain way? Because that also explains. See, you being 14 and deciding to go back to school because you knew that you needed structure says a lot about your mentality. It says a lot about you knowing who you are.
yeah,
So, like, what's your swag like? Like, how do you like to dress? What makes you feel comfortable?
I have kind of like two styles. Like sometimes I go to school looking like kind of like just woke up. I put joggers on, a white tee, and a hoodie, kind of like now. But other days I'll just pretty nice, like have some.
GQ, you'll be GQ with your Gucci belt, and
Pretty
yeah.
much, it's pretty much how it be.
So you go with the flow, and that's good because what you're being is genuine to who you are at such a young age, and I honor that. I do. I honor that. Anaya, what would you tell somebody? Let's say you know the virtual. Would you like going forward if it's going to be virtual? Would you like be able to go into a school or speak to the board and say that you need some real time before curriculum starts with the teacher so that you can get to know her and feel comfortable to be able to ask questions when you're afraid or when you don't know something? Because what you're explaining to me right now virtually, that holds, and tell me if you agree with me, that holds a lot of children back from wanting to say, I don't understand, can you repeat that? Or then they get emotionally tied up in knots or like a salty pretzel because they feel they didn't capture what they were supposed to learn, but yet they're afraid to ask because the the comfortableness of asking the teacher and not knowing really your new classmates.
yes, definitely. That's that exactly what you just said is literally me in my math class. I don't know how my teacher like so I don't know, sometimes she's iffy with like other students, like I don't know her. So I don't and I'm very quiet. I have my camera off most of the time, but I mean I'm in the class, but it's hard and it's math. I'm not that's not my special subject. So with her going fast, and then if I were to ask a question, she'll ask a student to answer the question, and I don't know that student, and then I'll just totally like it'll just go like that. So and then I'll be like, oh okay, but I still won't understand. So it's yeah.
It's you just said you turn your camera off. I don't understand why that's allowed.
That
Help me understand, why do you have um the why do you have that what's that word I'm trying to find?
like access
That
option.
you I think you, if you're going to be present, you should be present as though like right now you are with me.
Hmm.
Is it like that? Was it like that for you too, little Henny, where you can turn your camera off?
There's some, but no, there's some classes that I have to have my camera on. As long as the student is in the Zoom and responding, then that teacher doesn't care. That's all I know about her. Like she's pretty chill about that. As long as if she calls you, you answer right back, or if not, um, she just kicks you out. That's all I know about her. So, but with my Spanish, we have to have cameras on. She needs to see us and be able to like communicate like how we're doing right now. But it all depends on the teacher. So,
Well, I myself personally would say I find that disrespectful for you to turn your camera off when you're speaking to someone. That's like, I'm here, but I don't want to be here, but I'm here because I have to be here, but you're not going to see me type of thing. But I mean, if that teacher allows it, who am I to say anything? But what would you tell younger, both of you? I need you both to answer this. So while I'm asking, think about it. What would you tell if Aziyah was on? It would have made a world of difference. I really wish he wasn't so nervous to be on, because he's in fifth grade. So they're like a whole different generation who's just coming up and learning how to be social with a group of people, learning structure, how to follow the rules by staying in line, raising your hand to go to the bathroom, everybody going together as a group to lunch, coming back. What would you tell someone like that? Well, I believe Aziyah is a hybrid where he has some days in school and some days online. I
Oh,
think that in itself is confusing. But what will both of you at your grade levels tell the younger kids who are now at home with no friends and no outlet, and then have to be sitting in front of a machine for 8 hours? What would you, in all your bountiful intelligence and experience, would tell someone younger than you?
I
What
would
I don't
say,
know.
what motivation would you tell them? Like, this is what it is. It's virtual for our safety. So, what words of encouragement would you give someone being having had both right now, the both of you, virtual and classroom setting? So
So
you
I
like
know
would
how
if
it feels.
probably,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
go ahead, hon.
no, now you go.
I mean, no, I'm confused a little bit. So like what would we like say to like younger people who are what doing both e-learning and
Who?
school?
No, who are home? Let's say the ones that are home that are
Mhm.
having that they don't have the social engagements anymore. You know, sometimes the kids with today's society can't really be outside by themselves long. So the only outlet they have is to get up, even though most of them hate the first morning shocker, but to be in school and be able to play with kids their age, to sit in a classroom, to eat lunch with them, and building a camaraderie with them. And now they had it, they just adjusted to it, and now it's no longer there. So, you know, they can lead to anxiety, depression, lack of focus, lack of motivation. What encouraging words would you be able to tell younger children who are going through what you went through, how to keep focused and keep going?
Honestly, I have a to-do list, and it helps me get all my stuff done that I need to do in that day, like everything turned in. So that really helps. And it also helps to check them off, like put a big check mark, and it'll make like the little ones feel good. I mean, it makes me feel good whenever I check it off and I have that done. So a list is definitely like you should do it. It just really helps. And take it easy. Really, like if you're stuck, my for the people who are watching, my grandma is always saying, if I'm stuck with a painting, with an essay, whatever it is, to go away from it and then come back, get a clear mind, because with online, the little ones are gonna have to do something like play outside for like an hour and then come back to, yeah, it's gonna be boring, but your mind is going to be free. It's going to, you're going to be focused. You're going to make sure that and another thing is make sure, like, wherever the little ones are working, like a desk, the kitchen, make sure it's clean. It needs to be organized, because if there's a cluster, a mess, then they're going to be focused on the pile of papers that they don't care about, but they're going to be focused on it in the background while they're on a Zoom meeting learning about something very important. So, I mean, I do that.
So you say your suggestion is write down everything they have to get done for schooling, check it off as they go along so that they can see their achievements for the day that they
Yes,
find that they
but the only thing for the to-do list is whenever they write it down, and it's so nice to have it written down, like word for word. Like, I need to finish my Spanish, or whatever, and only write down what needs to be done today. You'll always go day at a time, because if you start piling it up and then writing down, oh, I need to finish this by Friday, then it's gonna cut them off, because it's just gonna be too much. So definitely.
and if they get unfocused and unmotivated to step away from it, and if they can go outside, to go outside for a little while, do something totally different from what they were doing,
Mm-hmm.
and then come back to it. But you mentioned something that's very, very, very important, even in my life as an old woman. And it's true. When you're going to sit down to work on something, find a space that is comfortable and decluttered, so that your
Mm-hmm.
focus is only on the matter at hand and not what's surrounding it. I think that was phenomenal. But what would you suggest with their loneliness? Because now they have no friends around them.
Their loneliness.
Make
See,
friends
that's
online.
hard. Yeah, that's hard, because even me, I used to have friends from every classroom when I was going to school. So now that I'm online, I don't have any friends now. Like, I really don't. I have barely a cousin, and I have my boyfriend. So those are really the only two people that I really met with.
Did you forget your brother who lives with you?
I
Oh
was
my
just about
god! Oh my god!
like,
No, but Henny
but I
knows
didn't
he's
want
my
to be
best
that
friend.
person.
Henny knows he's my best friend.
Oh,
I
that's
didn't want to be that
beautiful.
person.
No, before this, we just went on a car ride to get Starbucks.
Oh, see, that's
So
awesome.
yeah,
I-
but no, I don't know. It's hard, because it's hard for me to say, and that's tough, because I'm when it comes to like schooling and my education, I'm very social, but it's hard not being there present, and or not being face to face with another student, and or making new friends. Like, who goes online to make a new friend? No, you meet friend the majority of the times, usually the little ones. That's what we're talking about. They always
yes,
they always meet their friends in school. I mean,
yes.
it's I don't know, it's hard. If
Well,
yeah,
and what if
it's
they
hard.
live in a neighborhood like you that there's hardly no kids around, Henny? So
Oh.
for them to go outside, it would be difficult. Henny, give me your perspective on it. What would you tell Mateo and Aziyah if
Like
they're
when they're
stuck at
older.
home learning and they're not in a classroom anymore with their friends?
I would just say honestly, just take it slow. And like when I said with like writing down the things on like a sticky note or something and putting it on the computer or their phone, that is honestly key. Because Anaya taught me that like when I was doing online school in seventh and beginning of eighth. Because I would always like, okay, I need to do this now, but I want to do it later, so I'll do it right now. That would like honestly like kind of build up. So I would just say like slow down, write down your things, and just don't sweat the small things.
Exactly. And if they're lonely, what would you suggest they do? I think it's in those moments that they can be creative. So what would you suggest for somebody like Aziyah? Let's say if he was on, I mean, he has siblings and they keep him busy and he enjoys them. But the kids his own age and in the classroom setting, and now he doesn't have that, what would you say that he does besides writing down the to-do list? Because that's very important. I'm so happy you brought that up first. Take care of schoolwork first, write it down. If it gets too much, step away. Don't sweat the small stuff. Take a breath, come back with a fresh mind, fresh eyes, a clear mind. And then, so what, when they get lonely because they don't have their friends around anymore, um, what would things you do? Do you do like a group chat where you all can talk if they have access to um, the phone, or do you think maybe a video game where they can all be on it? Like, what are little things they can do to
I,
still have that camaraderie?
I think like what this is like how I can relate because usually like sometimes like the whole family would just play a game like Uno. We'll play all Uno and just sit there and vibe and just be cool.
So really,
Just
what you're saying is family. There's really, it's hard to, and right now it's hard to just like communicate with other people our age. So especially for like us, because we just moved to Spring Hill where we don't know nobody, and then all of our friends are like either in Zephyr Hills or Tampa.
so, but you say little Henny is like Mr. GQ, Mr. Popularity in his new school, so he's not having any problems. But I appreciate the insight because there's a lot of children that don't know how to express that they feel lonely or that they miss their friends, so they act out by oversleeping, not having any energy or desires to participate in anything in the house, and they just want to watch TV. And it's really not their fault. They were forced into a whole new and different environment that's not really conducive to them at the end of the day. Once they're done with school and they close that laptop, they're like, okay, what now? I have a dog, or I have an older brother or a younger sister. Moms and dad are working. What do I do? So, like parents. So, you think, so little Henny, you suggested playing Uno. So, do you suggest that parents should buy board games and play together, and then maybe the coloring books, maybe some art utensils? Like, what are some of the things? A basketball that they can go outside if it's a boy.
Yeah,
I don't know.
just make sure your mind is like not always like cluttered, but filled to the point where like you won't be bored throughout the day. Like the basketball or like riding a bike, just do something instead of just being there like on the bed looking up at the ceiling being bored.
Okay, instead of watching TV all day or playing video games. Yeah, I got it. Because it is important. And if a child is going through something, what would you suggest that who do you suggest they talk about it with? Do you feel that they should talk about it to their family?
Well, it depends because me, I like keeping like my stuff to myself because I'll get through it that way or whatever it is.
Anaya?
I always go to it. I say art. They're like bored or anything, and if they can't express anything to anybody else, I mean, art is always the best way. It's not. It ain't violent, and you're to yourself. You know, I feel like the colors express each and every emotion and thought that you're thinking and feeling. So, I'd always say, paint. Even if they suck, paint. Paint a canvas
Paint.
black.
But who sucks in art? You can't really go wrong in
That's what I say,
painting.
but you'll be surprised on how many people. Oh my god, I don't know how to draw. I don't know how to paint. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do that.
And if
Grab
you
a
were to
brush and
tell
paint.
somebody the art of painting is the power in the colors,
It
because
really is.
it even tells you a story before anybody else can read it.
Just
And
the
I
stroke of the brush can very much like explain.
Hey, are you my granddaughter?
I don't know. I don't know.
And little Henny can be artistic. Weren't you making things out of, like, in I think you were virtually in school at this point, where you were making things out of
The
resin?
resin.
So
Yeah,
you
that was like just like I think that was in the summer or something. It probably was in school, but I just thought that was like a little cool hobby for like that period of time what I was in, because I just make stuff and I was bored. I would put resin into a mold and give it to my sister or something.
Yeah, but you see how you were like bored, you didn't like what you were going through. So instead of withdrawing from everyone, you actually got a bit creative. And then
Hmm.
your parents bought you the resin because they liked that you were being creative and finding something that was interesting to you at the moment. Because sometimes we'll start something and it's not what we're going to end up doing, but it served a purpose at the moment. And that's what the piece of advice I wanted you to give these children out here and the mothers, that everybody is going through changes, and change is scary. No matter if it's like, okay, starting in September is virtual school, when it happens, it is still a whole change of everybody's schedule, because now kids are home learning at home. The parents got to, if they don't work from home, they got to find babysitters. It's a big disruption for everything. And although it's becoming the new normal, it still takes a bit to go. So I think the advice you gave as to what children can do, I think the parents should also encourage the children to do that, because classroom learning versus virtual learning, it's a big gap, right? And it's a big difference, and it's something that messes with your psyche until you can actually get a grasp on it. And by the time you get a grasp on it, guess what, Anaya? It's May, and you're finished with school.
I know. I know.
Do you agree with that? Because
Yeah.
little Henny, do you finish school in May as well?
Yes, I think on the same day Anaya does.
No, seniors graduate earlier than anybody else.
Oh, gee, you know she's a senior, little Henny.
Yeah,
No,
I'm
seniors.
sorry.
I'm a
um,
But
I'd have to say, little Henny, we have somebody on named Kimberly Sanchez, Matame. I know you remember her, and she repeated what you said, or the stain on the ceiling. She liked that little comment you made. And she agrees that art as a child and teen always worked, and it calms the soul. And Kimberly, you know that Anaya is an artist, and little Henny has artistry in other ways, not on canvas like Anaya. And they live that truth, and that's why it was suggested, because I think, especially when you're working with your hands,
Mhm.
because you're so like busy, like just
it can
focusing on what you're doing with your hands, your mind just goes in like a whole different world. So
It really does. And guess what happens? It's like you're breathing oxygen into your brain, so it's expanding and it's purging all the darkness, all the negative thoughts that you can't do this or you shouldn't do this. And I think there's nothing that we are not capable of doing that we should not attempt to do. And I think with the virtual learning, grateful that there are some um, in school classes that are following very strict procedure on safety, right, Henny? Your school follows strict procedures on safety.
Yes.
Well, you say your teacher wears her mask all day. That must be so
Yes.
difficult.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that you can have the option to choose, and if you do choose to stay home, and then a child feels like he's not learning as he should, then would you encourage those kids to speak up and say, Mom, I want to go back to school?
Yes,
definitely,
that
and
is very
I
important.
yeah.
Very important. Because
Yeah, and then I feel like the parents should be very like open minded and like considerate and like, okay, my child is coming to me telling me that they'll do better, you know, with their education in school. I feel like that should be like a priority. So I feel like parents shouldn't be mad or like keep their children away from going back to school. Yeah, it sucks. They're gonna be wearing a mask, all that. The people, and I'm sure they're not social distancing. I'm sure. But of course that's gonna be in the back of a parent's mind, like, oh my god, what if my kid gets sick? And I mean, it sucks all together. But I feel like if a kid, especially like around like Aziyah's age or even Henny's age, I feel like that's a big thing for a child to go to their parents like, listen, I think I should go back to school because I'm not learning as much. So yes,
And
definitely.
you, Henny, do you agree? How were your parents when you told them you wanted to go back to school?
I'm pretty sure they were kind of surprised that I was telling them that what was like kind of was what was better for me. Um, of just going to school because I think they knew that I wouldn't really be as good as online as I am in person. Because there's a big difference, really big difference on each.
Yes, there is. And I commend you for speaking up for yourself. And you have very supportive parents. So they listen to you, even though they're fear of putting you out into the world during this virus season. Um, but as I say, yes, there's precautions that I'm sure Tiffany checked into to make sure that her baby will be safe while being out in the world.
Yes.
Um, so I am just amazed that you guys were so frank. And what else would you suggest to anything? I'm not even going to ask you, Aniyah, from your senior point of view, for somebody who goes to school and works and does art. What would you, if you can give one piece of advice to both parents and children during this pandemic, what would it be?
So again, for the parents, just be open minded and understanding. Don't nowadays, like, I feel like kids are more sensitive because of like online and everything, because they don't have that social like experience with like teachers and being strict like that. And I'm sure the parents, are nice, but when it comes to like, big things like going out into the world and like, like doing the school stuff, for parents, just be understanding and open minded with their kids, because nowadays the pressure is so much because kids are like in just inside 24/7 without social, and just the normal, like everything change everything within like a blink of an eye. So um shit will get different, shit will get confusing and hard, especially as a parent. And for the kids, I say just find a hobby. Really, now, like, you need to find a hobby, like whether it be, I don't know, running, exercising, zooming or facetiming other kids, helping other kids, I don't know, make a blog, write to your future self. I like to do that. So, so like I have a lot
What
of
do
tips.
you do? What do you do?
What do you mean?
You said you do that. You write to your future self.
I always, and I have a box full of, I don't know, maybe about like 50 letters to my future self. Just, and I talk about anything. I talk about like my relationship problems, like how I'm feeling, like what I did, like my mistakes, like if I have nobody to go to, or if I don't trust anybody, like for a certain, or yeah, a certain situation, then I write to my future self. And I always keep her updated, and I say her because yeah, she's gonna, my future self is a different me right now. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I just feel like I'll like it in the future. I'll open. I don't know what I wrote last week. I don't know. So I forgot. So I feel like when I open those, I'm gonna be like, wow. So I don't know. I feel like if you were to write to yourself, your mind is just totally off, and like yourself than anybody else. So I feel like your personality, how you're gonna react, and like anything, maybe
I
give advice to older self. I don't know, I just feel like writing yourself, putting it in a letter, closing it, do not open it until like you're older and you're ready to open all of the letters. That's what I think. So that, I say painting. I mean, you could do so much.
TikToking.
TikToking. I started embroidery. I don't know how you say it.
Yeah,
First
you
time,
said it.
came out amazing. I love it. So that's cool. There's a lot of things to do. So you can never get bored because there's just so many things. So
Absolutely. I thank you for that. That was amazing. I'm going to ask you next, honey, but Kimberly wrote, there will never be anything negative about art. The way the world currently, us as parents have to adapt and take it back a bit to the old school to ensure their children are being heard. And then she says, Aniyah, I'm going to book an appointment for a tattoo with you. LOL. I cannot wait. So you're gonna be busy. Little Henny, what would you have to add to that?
Honestly, what Anaya said was really perfect on like how she was writing letters, and I didn't even know that until now. So, yeah, I didn't
And
know
she's
that.
supposed to be your BFF.
Literally, we keep it secret now.
I don't. Nobody knows that. Nobody, because I feel
Yeah,
like if people knew that, they'll want to read them. And I think I talk shit a lot about a lot of things.
That's
So
good. That's good. It doesn't matter. You have to write what's in your heart and on your mind at the moment so that when you're older, you can look back and understand how to unfuck your brain because you wrote to yourself already. So I think that's amazing. Little Henny, I love it. You saw how quick-witted he was? He reminds me of his mom. He's like, oh, we're keeping secrets now? You didn't even hear that, did you?
no, I did. I didn't.
I
No.
think that's wonderful. So yeah, okay. So you believe in right? You should start, little Henny, because when I read
I
those
probably
letters,
will.
yeah, I'm gonna be amazed as well. And so, do you have anything different to add from what Anaya said? Because you're a TikToker, right?
Not really. I just really post my shoes because I'm a very big sneaker person. So I just post random stuff on there, like sneakers only.
Yes, yes, that's good. But you also you do things, and you have uh, a group that plays video games with you, right? So it's not like just you sitting in front of the TV. You're actually communicating with different spirits and sharing different things
Yeah.
as you're playing and arguing, of course, because that's good to get your blood pressure up and then back down. So that tends to be good. Um, Kimberly says such positive energy from these young adults. And I agree. I am very proud to be your grandmother. I am very proud of your parents for raising such well rounded children. Um, I'm very proud of each and every one of you for stepping up to yourself and wanting to learn about yourself and what's going around in your world, because then that helps you see a clearer picture going forward. So, she says, take a bow, Margie. They are your legacy. Yes, they are my legacy. And I'm just in awe. And this today was a student's perspective from my triple A team, Aniyah, Argenis, and Aziyah. So maybe in the future he will come on because he's very important to this group. He would have played a very pivotal role in the discussion today. And we will have some future discussions going forward on this same platform. And because I think children and parents need to hear insights from you guys' perspective. I
Hmm.
think that was very beautiful. I thank you for taking the time to do this with me. I'm honored. I'm so honored to be your grandmother.
We love you, Ben.
Yeah, we
I
really
love
do.
you guys. So with that, Anaya, say you want to give a little quote or something, and then say your name as you, and then little Henny, and then I'll end it. But go ahead. Is there a favorite quote you like that you want? Some affirmation, some mantra?
Yeah, honestly, like YOLO. I always say that. Like, yeah, right now it's stressful, but I feel like everything happens for a reason. So at the end of the day, something is good gonna come out of whatever bad's happening. So I
Okay,
Yeah.
and you are
Anaya Taurus.
okay. Go ahead, little Henny. You have a quote or something that you would like to say?
The quote I'd like to say is Margie is always right. And
Damn, you made me look bad.
no, but I'm serious. Like, when has my grandmother, well, Margie, been wrong about anything?
Oh my
Because
God, look at I'm blushing over here. Oh my God,
I
that was
know.
so
I don't even think she's ever lied.
because literally everything I've learned was probably from my grandmother. She's been there for me like forever.
I
Oh
know.
my goodness.
That's my lady.
I didn't even pay
Literally.
you guys to say that. I am like, I, look at I'm blushing. That was beautiful. You know what? I try to be the best me for you guys that I can be and teach you. When I taught you guys never lie to yourself, that means I had to make sure that when I told you something, it was concrete. And when I shared my opinions with you, that you knew that it was my opinion and you could either flow with it or not. And I want you guys to grow into your purpose. And the only way to guide that is by being truthful, by calling you out on your shit, and by making sure that I'm pointing you in the right direction along with your parents. And I am just like, thank you. I couldn't ask for for a better show. Kimberly says she can't stop laughing because Aniyah said that you made her look bad, honey.
Oh yeah, it's not fucking ass kissing.
No, he's not. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah,
he's
yeah, yeah.
Aniyah.
Yeah. Get
What
it
you
right.
said, Aniyah, was so important. That quote you said was very important, and people need to hear that. We all need to hear. We need to remind ourselves of that every day. So
Yep.
with
Because
that,
life is really short to just be stressing. It really is. Like
And
you never
especially
know.
the
You
small
could
stuff.
knock on wood, God forbid, get into an accident. You know, you just never know. Even your loved ones. I always say like I love you to even like people that I don't really text, but have a really big important role in my life. I always say, listen, I love you. No, because you never know what can happen. So that's
you
why I always say
don't.
YOLO. Like you only live once, bro.
Listen, look at I have been in my feelings all day because already today is a month that Abuela Gina died.
It
A
does not
month.
feel like that. It
No,
does not.
it doesn't. So we need, thank you for that, Anaya. That's what I'm telling you, because we need to value what we have. We need to just, like Henny said, don't sweat the small stuff. We need to breathe, and we need to recognize that we are where we are supposed to be. There's no accidents. There's just a learning curve until you get it right. So with that, we will end this quad. Anaya, thank you very much. Little Henny, thank you very much for being here, for your sabia, for your philosophies of life at your age and how you view the world, which was very beautiful. I am La Margarita, your gladiator guru, and together, my children, come on, breathe in the beauty,
Breathe out the bullshit. I knew
breathe out the bullshit. Namaste,
it.
mi gente.
Namaste, mi gentes.
Hold on, I'm
I
just gonna
love you,
end.
bendición.
Wait. Wait, I'm just gonna end the broadcast.